And thank you so much, America, for the introduction. I'm supposed to be speaking to leaders today, leaders, elders, opinion leaders of our community. So I'm going to keep this style a bit high level, because no need to waste your time with breaking it down. It's your job. It's what you do for our community to break it down. The strings that bind us. We are descendants of brave farmers, hunters, gatherers. They relied on the land for food, shelter, and weapons. They needed to settle in places that surrounded by abundance out of the land. They needed to keep others outside. Others outside the clan, they needed to keep them away so that resources didn't run out so quickly. But then they also needed to procreate. So their numbers grew. Eventually, resources were challenged. Eventually, a group will split up and move to seek out another place where they will be surrounded by virgin land for food, shelter, and for weapons. They were brave farmers, hunters, and gatherers. But they were not all equally brave. Some led, some followed, even some had to be kept in line. When you need to forage for food, to hunt, to till the soil, and to corner a water spring for yourself and your family and your clan, your survival instinct will be focused on keeping others away. The clan leaders were dynamic, though, in how they defined others. As soon as they splintered from a large group and moved to a virgin clearing, the former group they left would necessarily become other for several purposes. Conflict will result among neighboring settlements. But for other purposes, like the necessity for intermarriage, for free passage to perform shared rituals, they cooperated. This kind of cooperation is not informed by simplistic reactions from raw nerves and hurt feelings. Such cooperation was forged by leaders who see the tree, but also see the forest. Leaders who are pained by the tussle over scarce resources, over respect, over boundaries, but also see the bigger vision that cannot be accomplished without cooperation. Leaders who envision life beyond the outer bounds of the comfort zone. When the comfort zone is provided by this cocoon of the immediate virgin land, leaders look beyond the comfort it provides to think beyond the margins. They were not equally brave. No, our forefathers were not equally brave. There were the snails, whose direction of motion is governed only by whoever poked their proboscis, their feelers, And if you touched his feelers the wrong way, he either shrank into the shell or changed direction, with a new heading determined purely by who touched him last. Then there was the lion. The leader who saw where he needed to go and devised a strategy for getting there. Who saw that simple subsistence? Who saw that simple subsistence they enjoyed, that it wasn't enough? That there was life beyond the comfort zone, a life you can't engage alone. The lion's decisions were guided purely by taking steps that improved the likelihood of achieving that vision. Our forebears had a name for lions. They called them brave leaders, warriors. When the clan settled in newly and needed to keep intruders away, brave leaders, warriors led the charge. When children of the clan needed to take husbands and wives, brave leaders, warriors led the negotiations to put hurt feelings aside and negotiate with the other. For a man shall not give his daughter to his sons to marry, he will necessarily go engage with his enemy. In fact, in many cases, they redefine other to extend the boundaries of who was within. As visions expanded, brave leaders led the charge to redefine the outer bounds. When commerce increased, brave leaders sought larger markets. Survival was reason to keep others out at the beginning, and now survival has become the reason to bring others in. I repeat, survival was the reason to keep others out at the beginning, and now survival has become the reason to bring others in. All that changed was the vision. But as you can see, the brave leader's vision is not shared by all. It does not occur to everyone at once. That as vision grows, the reason to keep others out usually becomes the same reason to bring others in. So, you need visionary leaders to explain this to those who don't get it at first. And then, there are vision killers. And then, there are myths that need to be debunked. The excuses to hold on to the smaller vision of yesteryears. I'll tell you what a few of these myths and then I'll conclude. The first one will be the things my father told me. Good fathers pray for their children to be greater than they. Progress is to take the equipping of the parent and build on it to prepare you for the novel challenges of the new world. Challenges which our fathers did not know of. Sadly, it sometimes appears that our generation seems to find honor in facing today's challenges with our forefathers' mindset. Your forefather himself adapted to his reality. He migrated if he needed to. He found new land. He renamed it. He made alliance with his neighbors. He fought wars, but he also made peace. He survived and prospered. If he were to copy and paste the acts of his and errors of his own father, his father's enemies will simply remain his enemies forever. His father's friends will remain his friends. Even if the father's friends gave back to a generation of assholes. His father's challenge, the maximum. His father's challenge would have been the maximum of his challenge. So new challenges will throw him. He will keep trying to solve today's problem with yesterday's mindset. He may not have survived, but our forefathers survived. They were leaders, lions. I wonder what became of the snails of their generation. What our forefathers told us is that we should take this as an input. It was a perspective bound in space-time, an opinion jaded by his own errors and prejudices. Your father did not want you to be just like him. Your father wanted you to be the better parts of him, and then more. He wanted you to selectively adopt and then adapt. He wanted you to be the leader he was and more. Brave leaders, warriors, are not held back by the things their fathers told them. The second myth is the myth of negative attribution. Negative attribution finds a trait in someone or a few people of other tribes and then hate the whole tribe. But negative attribution does not look within to see that every such attribute can be found within one's own family. Negative attribution does not evaluate the difference in response to negative attribution when it's found within one's own clan. That same thing that is the reason you can't deal with an entire other tribe has been done to you by people of your own tribe, and yet you've continued to deal with people of your own tribe. This lays bare as a mere excuse. Lays negative attribution bare as a mere excuse to fear. This is an excuse not to be brave. Brave leaders, warriors, are not beguiled by such excuses. Blood is thicker than water is another one. Maybe so. But blood is just water on a mission. Blood is water with a backpack of all those desirable particles it needs to carry about. Sewer water, water in open drainage, flood water, mud water, they are all thicker than water. Nobody creates a justified excuse based on the comparative thickness of all these other forms of water. It's like setting water against water. Setting water against water. How does that sound familiar? Because this is the foundational excuse for tribalism. Setting brothers against brothers. Setting nationals against nationals. Setting people against people. Brave leaders and warriors must understand this. It's a basic foundational requirement for being a visionary leader of a people that must survive. The thoroughbred mindset gives, it's another one, it gives some kind of high ranking that makes you more worthy if you were the son of the soil. The soil we're talking about is not a geological definition. It's a territorial definition. And it gets smaller as the speaker's vision gets narrower. It could be the village where you were born, And if your father and your mother were also bred on that soil, you have a higher ranking. You are a son of the soil. But if you peel off the cover of this, you'll see that even the very nature of man finds it repugnant to be thoroughbreds. We're not horses. Most natural laws abrogate human inbreeding. Those who try to do otherwise lost the opportunity to refresh their gene pool with difference. Difference refreshes our gene pool. If not, after a few generations, diseases that would have disappeared through a heterogeneous recessive lottery started turning homozygote and expressing themselves. Even without the knowledge of all this advanced genetics, our cave-dwelling clansmen knew to go farther away from their family to find wives. Those who did not perish considered difference as an embellishment, not a negative. So, who is really your brother or sister that you rank so highly over the other? Children of the same father, children of the same mother, children of the same mother and father. Each of these children are at best only half as related to you as your own brother. Your own children are only half as related to you as your own brother. So should a man now discriminate against his own children? Should a woman hate his own child because she's only half as related to her own brother? Biologically, we lose sight of these intricacies when we create division. The conclusion from all this is that if you seek a brother, you'll find one everywhere. But if you seek a biological excuse to vilify difference, you will find one in your own very womb. You will find one among the kids that call you dad. So who really is your brother, sister? Brave leaders need to understand this. In conclusion, what are the strings that bind us together? It's not common clanship. It's not common tribe. It's not even common parentage. Those strings that help us to do, those are strings that help us to do certain nuclear things together. But I propose to you that the strings that bind us together is always found in the perimetry of our vision. It is the string of clanship if the string of clanship is a small single thread that abides no difference. A bigger, broader nationalistic vision is a thick, hunky, multi-twined cord that's not easily broken. The strings that bind us as leaders of the Nigerian community is on the perimetry of the shared vision of what this is really all about. A vision of life beyond the outer fringes of a simple, survivalist, subsistence mindset. It is a vision. It is an understanding. It is really those that share this understanding, those that are bound by this string, that are called to rise to the challenge and conquer the disarray within, and foster the productive pursuits beyond the outer fringes of our clanship. Those smaller threads that have their uniqueness and value, I call you brave warriors to continue to maintain those threads, to grow them, to support your clan, but to continue to contribute that thread to the larger vision, to help grow the multi-twined cord that is not easily broken. The cord we need to tap into the larger vision, a life beyond the outer fringes of our limited clanship. Thank you.